Happy New Year's Eve, everyone. This is Tony, who helps out with the 80 Star Basketball channel, and this is your weekly auction report where we go into previous auctions for the last week, what's coming up this week, and with the slate change, we're going to talk a little bit about the 84 Star 101 MJ Pop report, in addition to comparing return on investments for the 84 Star versus 86 Flair Michael Jordan cards. So we'll see how both cards are doing over different periods of time within the last year, and maybe we'll dive into a little bit more about that. So let's get started with the sale of the week. And for first, at least for me, it's not Michael Jordan, which is getting a lot of attention. It's about the 84-85 Hakeem Olajuwon, number 236. This was on eBay. This sale completed on the 29th, and it was sold by SMR Collectibles. And this is one of the nicest Olajuwons I have ever seen, and a lot of talking about it on social media, especially the Facebook group. So let's take a quick look at this card and see how it compares to the PSA 9, in addition to a few other star cards. Specifically BGS 9s and PSA 6 and 7s. So this card, what really made it, other than the slab, which unfortunately doesn't hold it perfectly still, it moves around. This has near perfect top to bottom centering, and the left to right centering is just a little bit off, so you get a little bit less of a border on the right hand side. But if you compare this to cards such as my old Hakeem Olajuwon, this is a 5. And look how cut off this is. This is my 6. And a little bit, definitely better than this 5. But you can tell it's still a very thin line. Then I was able to upgrade it to a 7 with the 10 auto. And I still have a thin line. Top to bottom centering is about the same on the other cards. But when you compare this beautiful 8 to the even better PSA 9, you get floored in a good way. So this is the lone PSA 9 that's currently graded. And there's a few BGS 9s out there, much like this used to be from what I read online, that may or may not cross over into PSA 8, 8.5s, and possibly even a 9. But this is a stunning card. I mean, look at the centering left to right and top to bottom. And here's a picture of the back. Not too many people pay attention to the back, but this is one clean back if you're into that. But look at this front. So going back into Olajuwon sales, the last one we had previous was a December 20th sale in 2021. That's the second highest sale of this card, and this was a BGS 9. I haven't done the comparisons to see how, if it's the same as the 9 or one of the PSA 8s, but we can't zoom in on this. But if you take a look, let me see if I can zoom in on it. Yes, I can. Just had to do a right click, open the new window. This is a sharp card too. And take a look at the back. So you see here on this 9 that's sold in 2020, this is like near perfect centering too. So I haven't done the comparisons if it's the same card as the PSA 9, but that's not the topic of the show. But great sale for this. And let's sort by the date. And we also had a December 25th sale where we had a PSA 6 sell for $685. I do expect a little bit more of these cards to come out to market in the upcoming months. Think of it as when a card you really don't see gets sold for a nice price, and it's called the tree gets shaken, and before you know it, we'll have a little bit more supply out there to meet demand, and hopefully those will be centered cards, whether they stay in BGS slabs or they're crossed over into PSA ones. So let's get into our Michael Jordan Star 101 cards. We had one sell in this past week, and this was a bag. We're going to start with that. And this was a bag, and Ryan went into this, so we'll spend not much time. It was a lot, all sealed bags except for the team's bag, and the Jordan was a 7.5, really sharp. I stress you check out Ryan's video he made this past Sunday about that auction, because the buyer of this should be extremely happy with it. As a seller, and Ryan suggested this too, we can't stress enough, when you have a sealed bag set like this, even with the Michael Jordan separate, do not consolidate it into one lot. Have two lots or have three lots. Have each Jordan in its own lot, even if one is bagged or not, or just keep the one Jordan separate and everything else in a different lot. But even at $82,823, I think this was a fabulous buy. Let's get rid of the bag. And let's talk about what we had sold in the one-on-one space. So we had a few sales. We had a BGS 8, sell for $26,900. A little bit talk about this. Corners are a touch white. I like how it's against a black surface, so you can see the centering, pretty nice. I know BGS only gave it an 8, but the centering appeals to me. What I don't like about this card, and why I question it sold for the amount that it did, is this thumbprint. So on my PSA graded Michael Jordan, it used to be a BGS 8, and I have a thumbprint ding on mine too, and I got hammered by PSA on that. So the buyer got a nice card, but the seller did extremely well, leaving this in the BGS 8 slab, or it would have been lowered. We also had a PSA 6 of Goldin, sold for $26,840. Again, nice card, a little bit white on the corners, but that's why it's a PSA 6. Centering looks great to me. You're going to have the typical left to right centering, but nice card. We had on December 28th, we had a Bulls team bag that also sold at Goldin for $34,160. It's kind of hard to tell the condition of these bags, but when I looked at it on Goldin's website, I saw another thumbprinting, what looks to me to be a thumbprinting. So I didn't place a bid on it. I didn't even place a placeholder bid on it. But still a nice item to have. Also in Goldin, there was a BGS 7, which a lot of folks talked about. This card was a little bit weaker for me in my eyes, even though it was a BGS 7. I think the seller who consigned it to Goldin did a great job leaving it in the BGS slab, because I do think if it crossed over, it would be closer to a PSA 5 with the 4 white corners and a little bit more edgewear damage here. We went over this, and those were all the Star 101 sales. Let's go into the next card, which is the Michael Jordan Olympic card, number 195. We had a couple sales of these too. I'm counting 3 sales. We had a PSA Authentic sell for $1,650. We had a PSA 3 sell for $2,000, and we had a PSA 6 sell for nearly $4,000. I'm not going to go into these, but these are entry price points if you want to get into this card, especially if you want a numeric grade card, a 3 and a 6. $2,000 separated these two. Next, we have, as you know, one of my favorite cards. It's the 288 Michael Jordan Rookie of the Year card. We have 3 sales of these that we could talk about. We had a PSA 5 sell for $3,240 at Heritage. We had a PSA 3 sell for $2,800 on eBay. And we had another eBay sale for a PSA 5, and that sold for $4,300. Let's take a quick look at this, because this was the stronger of the cards I saw. All three of these cards had a thin right border, which is to be expected of this card, but that's not really a common issue that I see. The more common issue I see with this card would be the edge wear and the typical centering, but the edge wear is what really detracts from the card in my eyes. So it's one of the important 4 sub-grade categories for me. Moving on, we have the 85-86 star of Michael Jordan, 117. We had one seal that we'll review today, and that is the BGS 8.5. I saw this card, and I think the corners are a little bit white, but I wanted to bring it up on eBay because it is a second-year Jordan, and there's some rumors that PSA is really trying their best to grade these cards, but they need Type 1 and Type 2 uncut sheets to do the baseline in the grading. So it's a little bit fuzzy picture, but at least the seller gives you additional pictures. But still, I think the price of this card reflected the pictures being blurry. I see edge wear on the left edge, excuse me. And then I see a little bit of corner wear, top right corner. If I go to the bottom, this is what I saw in the other picture, but with a better, higher resolution picture. Still a little fuzzy. I don't know if this is corner wear or it could be on the sleeve. I would guess it's on the sleeve because, I'm sorry, I guess it would be on the card because the sleeves really don't show this type of wear because it's not like anyone's touching it, and the plastic, the acrylic plastic, which makes the slab, doesn't really rub up against the sleeve in this manner. But again, it's an 8.5, so for 2100. If you're going to get a BGS 9, then you're looking at over $3,000. But it will be nice when PSA can start grading these. I wanted to go over into the quick ROI before we get into upcoming auctions and pop reports. So if we take a look at performance for the last 6 months of the Star 101 Jordan, it's up 19.85%, which is nice growth. If you look at 1 year, it's up 23, nearly 24%. And at the 2-year mark, you're up 27%. So between 2 years at 27% and 1 year at 24%, not too much difference there, but hey, every dollar matters. Nice flat growth. If you take a look at the 6 month, again, we're at almost 20%. Let's compare that to the Star. Let's start with the 6 months so we have apples to apples. The Star PSA 7. I'm not going for a 7.5 or an 8. I'm trying to take high grades of each card. If I really wanted to compare these, I would probably go with the 6, but we're going to stay with the 7 for now. There have been 13 sales in the last 6 months, and the Star is up 28%. If you look at 3 months, it's down 25%, but we talked about that. A lot of people put it to market. You had more supply. You had people paying a little bit more than what they wanted to because they had the fear of missing out, the FOMO. But you go back to the 6 month and you're up 28%. You go to the 12 month or 1 year growth, you're up almost 100%, 94.26% growth. And there's multiple sales around this date. And you can see how a PSA 7 was just under $20,000. If you go for 2 years, now we're talking 146% growth. That's nice growth. We had nice consistent upward growth here, and then we know what happened in the summer months, and then you had the drop off because people wanted to trim profits, and I don't have a problem taking profits. If you did it, kudos to you. You were smart, and then you were able to buy back in at a better price. And some people I'm aware of, they sold multiple 101s, and they were sold very few 101s, and they picked up multiple ones. So great for them. It's just like the stock market. It's all timing. But to bash one card or the other, I don't understand why people continue to do that. Ryan talks about this a lot, as do other people. These are two fabulous cards. both fully licensed by the Players Association and the league. We know Fleer has the more iconic photo, which which was taken from the Michael Jordan's first season as a pro, much like the '84 star. So for me, this is a third-year card, but I understand why people want to call it a rookie. But regardless, you cannot go wrong with either one of these Jordan cards. So let's not show favoritism over one or the other. Let's embrace them both. Let's treasure them both because they're great cards. Unfortunately, one is far more harder to find than the other. Going into pop reports. So if you go to gemrate.com, type it in, it's going to bring you to the main page. Then you'll have these links up above, type universal card search, and you can type in the year, or you can type in the player name or the set name. So let's bring up Michael Jordan. So I'm also hearing a lot of talk, and the reason I'm going into this is because it's supply and demand, and it does influence what cards sell for. So we know right now there's 1,641 total 84-star Jordans out there, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's the true number. What all this is just saying is this is how many times the card has been graded. But all the research I have done online and knowing how other cards are cracked and resubmitted, or when grading starts for a particular card, such as this one, when PSA resumed grading, this card shot up in terms of the number of submissions. So in my eyes, I think the true PSA grade is 423, but I think that if you subtract 400 from the 1,217 BGS cards graded, that is the total number of BGS. So there's closer to 800 total BGS MJs graded right now that are in slabs than 1,200. So what's that mean? There's closer to 1,200 total Star 101s graded, not 1,600, not 1,641, but no, I think you're closer to 1,241, or round it down, you're closer to 1,200 total. Because I bet there's only about 20 of these that were raw from the very beginning that were submitted into PSA. Because these cards are so condition sensitive, no one really left them unprotected. They were graded. And again, this is my own opinion, but I did enough research on these. I feel confident sharing that with everyone here. Upcoming auctions. Okay, in the next week, we have 3 Olajuwon rookies, set PSA 7, BGS 7.5, another BGS 7.5. For whoever is selling this card, please start putting direct on pictures, not tilted. When you look at this auction on eBay, a lot of pictures, and that's nice, but the 2 main pictures you want to take a look at, the front and the back, they're on a tilt. They're not straight on like these 2. So for the Star MJ Olympic card, we have 2 of these this week. We have a PSA 7 at currently 9,300, and we have a PSA 6 at 7,850. These are both on eBay. And actually, there's a third, excuse me, there's Memory Lane. Memory Lane has all 3 MJs coming up in their upcoming auction. So they have a PSA 6 copy, which looks pretty similar to these in terms of side-to-side centering. The main differences I saw without drilling into each one was the top to bottom centering. So ending soonest. Okay, we have 2 of these that are currently at auction. We have eBay. PSA 4 is currently at 10,100, and as we discussed with the last lot, we have a PSA 6 at Memory Lane, which is currently at 17,716. I took a look at this one, and I just wanted to show the folks here. This is a nice one in terms of the corners. You have the typical centering. There is some edge wear here, so that's why it's a 6. But you take a look from this card, 18 inches away, 20 inches away max. It looks like a really nice card. Just you have an edge issue here, but that's part of the reason why it's a 6 and not a 7. For our MJ Rookie of the Year card, number 288, we have one listing currently. This ends in 11 days, 1 hour, and that's a PSA 6 currently at $3,993. The last card we're going to look at for today, upcoming auction, is a second year Michael Jordan card. This is a BGS 9, and this is on eBay. Let's take a quick look at that. I think it's a very underrated card, in my opinion. So this is another auction where there's no direct straight on pictures, but it has nice subgrades. It's a 9. I took a look at this card on the various pictures, and it looks okay. So top right corner looks good. Top left corner looks good. Bottom left corner looks nice. Bottom right corner, a little bit of white, not too much, not too bad. The back also looks good to me. So definitely check out this card. I'm not a big fan of the current price, but hey, you buy the card and not the grade, and it's just my opinion. So this is Tony. I wanted to thank everyone for listening to me. And if you have any questions, feedback, comments, please feel free to reach out to Ryan or myself. You know where to reach us on social media. Thank you, and everyone have a happy and safe New Year.